some games that I love, like Zelda Breath of the Wild or the Monster Hunter series. And there are some games that I don't really care for, like Dynasty Warriors or League of Legends. No offense if you like those games, but they just aren't for me. Hearthstone is different. There's no other game that I love so much while also hating it so much. I've never felt so conflicted about a game before. I've been playing for years, I've spent countless hours on it, and I've opened hundreds of packs, but I've also uninstalled it on 2 separate occasions out of sheer rage. I just can't decide how I feel about it. Let's break this down.
Pull up a chair by the hearth.
Hearthstone's biggest strength is its simplicity. Let's compare one of the most complicated cards from Hearthstone with one of the most complicated cards from Magic the Gathering. The new Dr. Boom Mad Genius replaces your hero's appearance and grants you 7 armor. For the rest of the game, your mechs have rush, and you get a random hero power every turn. It's a powerful card, and it does a lot. Nicol Bolas God Pharaoh is also a powerful card. His first ability is +2, target opponent exiles cards from the top of his or her library until he or she exiles a non-land card. Until end of turn, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Even with just this first ability, we've already used more text than there is on the whole of Dr. Boom Mad Genius. And Nicol Bolas also has 3 other abilities that you need to keep in your head. That's a big difference in complexity. Part of the reason why Hearthstone cards are so simple is that they leverage the advantages of digital games. With physical cards, you need to explain in detail to the player exactly how the card works so that they can manually operate it. But with digital cards, some of those details can be handled by the computer instead. For example, Dr. Boom has 6 different hero powers, but only one of those is active at any time. So you don't need to print them all on the card. They just print something saying that it will change every turn. In fact, random elements themselves are something that digital card games do really well. There's a handful of Magic cards that require coin flips, but they aren't very popular. The physical hassle of finding a coin and flipping it outweighs the benefits for a lot of players. But in a digital card game, the computer can manage all of the randomness for you. Cards like Witch's Cauldron just aren't possible in Magic the Gathering. It lets you play with cards that you might not even own, which I think is really cool. Magic does have strengths of its own. Its complex cards and larger decks allow you to build intricate combos right into your deck, and this opens up a lot of space for player skill. But personally, I really enjoy the looser and more random combos of Hearthstone. You'll sometimes run into insanely unlikely events that you can hardly believe are even possible.
I have no time for games. I have no time for games. I have no time for games.
Hearthstone also oozes graphical polish. This is Blizzard's forte, and all of the cards have a unique identity with clear card art and catchy voice lines. And the spells in particular have lots of cool visual effects. On this core level, Hearthstone is simple, well-polished, and highly varied. It's also quite relaxing to play, and it's easy to teach to new people. The game has a lot of things going for it. But Hearthstone also has a frustrating side. Surrounding this core is a complex web of annoyances designed to withhold pieces of the game from you unless you constantly pay up.
Hey, you want to buy a funnel cake?
The cards are sold in randomized packs of 5, and one of those cards is guaranteed to be rare or better. That might sound good, until you realize that rare cards are actually far from the rarest kind of cards. After rare comes epic, which are 5 times rarer, and after epic comes legendary, which are a further 4 times rarer. On average, you'll get 1 epic every 5 packs and 1 legendary every 20 packs. Packs are priced at £1.50 each, so this adds up very fast. You can earn some packs for free. Once per day, you're given a quest that you can complete for gold. When I first started playing, completing these quests was a major headache. Most of them would require me to win 3 times with a class I never played and had no good cards for, which was kind of a catch-22. Now that I have years worth of good decks built up, I can breeze through them without much trouble. But it took me a long time to get here. And also, you only get one quest per day and the average reward is half a pack's worth of gold. If you do every quest for 40 days in a row, you'll probably only get one legendary card. Let's consider that 17% of the cards in the latest expansion have legendary rarity, but only 1% of the cards you buy will be legendaries. This creates some powerful artificial scarcity that they use to drive their business model. When I'm running through the motions of opening a big stack of packs, I often wonder to myself, am I gambling? I'm not betting money with the hopes of earning more money, so I guess I'm not technically gambling. But it does still feel like gambling. When I buy packs, I often wonder whether I truly want them, or whether I just need another quick fix. The question of how much money a game is worth is always quite subjective. One perspective is that if the player is willing to pay this much, then the game is worth that much, and I'm sympathetic to that view. But another perspective would be to compare it to other games on the market to see whether you're getting comparable value. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was a top-quality, genre-defining game. It cost me £45, which I think was well worth it. The Boomsday Project pre-order also cost me £45. But this comparison isn't totally fair because that's only for this one expansion of Hearthstone. And more importantly, it only gives me a fraction of the cards in this expansion, fewer than a quarter of the legendaries. Getting all of the cards would cost me many hundreds of pounds every year. Realistically, I just need to give up all hope of ever owning them all.
The sky darkens, and your tale will end.
Most of the game's coolest cards are legendary rarity, but the most frustrating thing is that not all legendary cards are actually playable. In the previous expansion, The Witchwood, I opened Duskfallen Aviana. This card is terrible. She makes the first card of each player's turn cost 0 mana. But the thing is that once you play Aviana, you've already used your first card of the turn. So that means that she does nothing on your first turn, and then when you pass, it gives your opponent a free card. Your opponent could have all sorts of horrible cards in their hand costing anywhere up to 10 mana. They can play this card for free and then use some removal to cheaply get rid of Aviana, which means that they got the benefit instead of you. In the cases where your opponent doesn't happen to have a powerful card in their hand and also doesn't happen to have any removal, then you have a chance to benefit. But that's far from a situation you can depend on. Honestly, the most likely outcome of playing this card is that you give your opponent a huge tempo swing and then probably lose soon afterwards. It's practically unplayable in all but the most niche meme decks. Now, it is cool how Hearthstone has these kinds of niche cards. It enables creative decks that bring in some surprising and unusual situations. But the problem is that they often make these cards legendary rarity, which again only appear once every 20 packs. If you pull a crappy legendary like Duskfallen Aviana, then that makes it even less likely that you'll get a cool one like Baku the Moon Eater. I opened over 80 packs when the Witchwood launched, and I gained 6 legendaries. This is above the average of once every 20 packs, so I actually got lucky. I'll never get to play with all of the legendary cards, or even half of them, but at least I can play with some. And I've made some cool decks with them and I've had a lot of fun. But when some of those legendaries turn out to be so niche that I'll never realistically use them, that feels really bad. I guess I should buy more packs.
More souls!
The chances of pulling all the legendaries you want is very, very slim. But that's why the game has a crafting system. You can disenchant cards that you don't want, and use the arcane dust they give you to craft something new. This sounds great, until you look at the refund rates. Common cards give you 5 dust when you disenchant, but crafting one requires 40 dust. That's 8 times more. Most packs only have 4 commons, which means that you'll have to disenchant all of your commons from 2 packs just to get 1 common of your choice. Legendaries give 400 dust, which is way, way better, but they need 1600 dust to craft. If you wanted to craft a single legendary card out of only common cards, you'd need 320 commons. All of your commons from roughly 80 packs. It's pretty much unthinkable. In reality, people don't often dust their regular cards. Instead, most people dust their golden cards, which give you a full refund. But these golden cards are even rarer than their normal counterparts. I've been playing Hearthstone since the first expansion and I've opened hundreds of packs in that time, but I've only ever opened one golden legendary, Master Oakheart. If I dusted him, I could get any non-golden legendary of my choice, which is great, but Master Oakheart is actually pretty good, and I'll never pull another copy of him, so I don't really want to do that. This is the constant tension underlying Hearthstone's crafting system. The game is full of cool legendaries and epics, and you're obviously going to want to play with them. But you're never going to get them all unless you open hundreds of packs costing you hundreds of pounds. So instead, you're going to want to disenchant some of your older stuff so that you can get a few newer cards. But the disenchant rates are so bad that you'll have to destroy loads of your old stuff just to get one or two new things. I have a friend who pulled Lorewalker Cho, decided he was pretty bad and dusted him. Later, one of his decks really needed Cho, so he crafted him again for 4 times as much as he got from the disenchant. Later on, Cho fell out of the meta and he dusted him a second time. Now he needs Cho again for something and he just can't afford to craft him again. All in all, he destroyed many legendaries worth of dust with just a few bad decisions. Now granted, this was all really dumb. Disenchanting your legendary cards is never ever worthwhile, unless the card is really terrible for some reason. I always check for second opinions online before I make any significant dust. My friend should have known better. At the same time though, this crafting system is actively incentivizing you to destroy your most valuable cards. Destroying several epic or legendary cards is the best way to gain a large amount of dust, and you'll need that dust since the drop rates for these cards are so low. In fact, this whole disenchanting system is a bit dubious. People spend a lot of time and money building up their collections, and even when they do, they'll be missing plenty of key cards. Pushing players towards destroying the few good cards that they do actually own is, in my opinion, manipulative. Let's compare this to physical card games where you can trade your cards with your friends. By trading, you get something that you want and your friend also gets something that they want. Nothing gets destroyed and no value is lost. Hearthstone doesn't allow card trading, probably because it would introduce a secondary market of people reselling their cards. But there are other roads that they could have taken. One simple fix would be to remove the dusting system and just give players 100 dust with every pack. You'd still need 16 packs to craft a legendary card, so it wouldn't throw off their economy that much. But it would mean that players are no longer incentivized to destroy their own possessions. They could craft the occasional card without having to cannibalize several other cards. That said, it's extremely unlikely that Blizzard would ever make any changes to their crafting system, so I'll just have to put up with it and resist the temptation to destroy my own collection. I guess I should buy some more packs. In a traditional card game, you're committed to the cards that you print. Once it's out in the world, there's very little you can do other than ban it if it turns out to be far too powerful. But in digital card games, you can go back and patch your cards. This is great for balance because you can tone down the cards that warp the strategy space even long after you release them. So it's a shame that Hearthstone rarely patches anything. Their reasoning does make sense. Players don't like it when their cards change. It can be very annoying to come back to a game and find that your best card has been nerfed. When a nerf really is necessary, they compensate the player with a full dust refund instead of the usual quarter. So that's pretty cool actually. It means you can replace that changed card with any other card of your choice, provided it's the same rarity. But I think this also feeds back into why they don't nerf very often. Hearthstone's monetization model is very aggressive, and giving people more dust through nerf refunds could lead to them buying less packs. That might sound cynical of me, and maybe it is, but I have some evidence. In the previous expansion, there was a card called Shudderwock that caused some really screwy combos by doubling all of your battle cries, playing them again, doubling them again, playing them again, and so on until you were performing hundreds of actions every turn. In patch 11.2, they fixed this by limiting the Shudderwock to 20 battle cries, but they didn't offer a refund. Their rationale was that the Shudderwock change was a fix rather than a nerf. I can see the logic behind that, since the old Shudderwock really was causing problems. At the same time though, the card is objectively less powerful now. Many of the super crazy combos it could activate have been drastically shortened. I think the change was much needed, and it certainly did fix the Shudderwock. But they also nerfed it too, and I feel they should have recognised that. This touches on the downsides of digital purchases. When you buy physical cards, you have a tangible object that you own and can keep. But with digital games, the digital cards that you buy aren't like this. Blizzard can take the cards you own and change them, even long after you originally bought them. These cards might look like a product, but they're actually more like a service, and the details of the service can change at Blizzard's discretion. But this is why the refund system is in place. It's like, we changed something that you paid money for and own, so we're going to refund you and let you choose a different card if you prefer. This system is very fair, but the Shudderwock stealth nerf makes me wonder whether Blizzard are really going to continue keeping their end of the bargain in the future. I guess I'll just have to buy some more packs.
The end is coming!
I've been pretty negative about Hearthstone today, and Hearthstone has definitely made me feel pretty negative at various points in the past. But the fact remains that, after everything is said and done, I keep coming back for more. I'll complain about the pricing model at length, but then I'll go right ahead and buy the next expansion pre-order. In the end, I really do like Hearthstone, even though Hearthstone doesn't seem to like me very much. Ultimately, the game is really well made and it doesn't have any significant competition, even today, more than 4 years after its initial launch. I tried playing Magic the Gathering Arena, but it just reminded me of why I stopped playing Magic in the first place. Declaring all of your phases and all of your responses to every action, both in your turn and in your opponent's turn, is very fiddly, and getting land screwed is one of the worst feelings in the world. I played Farrier for a while, and I actually made it pretty high up the ladder, but I was eventually worn out by the game's small card pool and lack of visual polish. I played Duelist a few years ago, but over time they made a lot of changes that reduced the importance of positioning, which made me sad. And Gwent is just a mess. I like that CD Projekt Red are trying to do something fresh with the game, but it's very complicated and it changes constantly. I feel like Gwent needs a few more years in the oven. And so, when it comes down to it, Hearthstone is the only card game that I still like to play regularly. It's a genuinely great game, but it's trapped inside a maze of aggressive monetization. Hey, thanks for sticking around all the way to the end. All the stuff I said in this video is just my opinion, and if you think I'm completely wrong, I would love to hear why in the comment section. I've been making some huge changes to Patch Quest, though the next update won't be out for a while still. The easiest way to hear about what I'm up to is to follow my Twitter feed. I post there pretty regularly, the link is in the description. I'm also trying to make a new game design video every month, so if you enjoyed this one, be sure to subscribe. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.